had never no-heighted in the high jump before. And I was looking up with the Olympic rings everywhere. In that moment, I thought like, this is who I am, the person who chokes at the Olympics. I've been putting my life on hold for 20 years so that I can maybe make the Olympics. It's not an easy journey. You have to be willing to trade your life for. I had to miss funerals. You have to miss a lot of stuff.
Are there some pretty strict rules with the javelin throw? Like, I've heard of people getting impaled with those things before. Hasn't that happened?
No, it happens all the time.
What?
Yeah.
Being a female Olympian, how has that affected like your family planning?
That's a really good question.
Today on the Unplanned podcast, we're joined by Chari Hawkins, who went viral at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games after she no-heighted in the high jump, the second event of the heptathlon. This meant that she would have no shot at a medal, but she remarkably decided to still compete in the rest of her events. We unpack everything from that heartbreaking moment to meeting LeBron James and family planning as a pro athlete, all in today's episode. What's up, dudes? And welcome back to the Unplanned podcast. Today, we are joined by Olympic athlete Chari Hawkins. Let's just give it up. Let's just give it up real quick. Yay!
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
A quote that I've heard that I've never related to more is like, people that like to run, has anyone told them that they don't have to? And so I'm like, I honestly want to know, like, do you genuinely, as someone that like runs for your job, like, is that, do you genuinely just like love it?
No. I hate running. Running sucks. It's so hard, but it teaches you so many great things. And like, it's one of those things where every time I go to do it, you also have to remember that like, I like to sprint and I like to run, jump, and throw because I'm a heptathlete. So I do all the events, right? So when it comes to running, I'm like, oh no, because it's really intimidating and it's really hard. But the longer I've done it, the more it's taught me and the stronger it makes me. And so, yes, like it sucks. And I think the number one thing we have to do is it sucks for everybody. And except for like the rare few people who's like their body just like loves it. But I think like the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And the more you're like, wow, like, okay, it gives you almost instant gratification because you finish running, you finish actually doing it, you're miserable. But then afterwards you're like, wow, I did it. And where can you do that? Where you just like, you do something one time and you're instantly proud of yourself.
That was not the answer I was expecting. I thought you were going to be like, I love it. It's like my passion and all this stuff.
I wake up at 4:30.
Well, we gotta be real here. Yeah, we gotta like running. Like I actually remember reading a book that talked about the importance of like raising your VO2 max and how important it is for your longevity of your lifespan. And
wait, the VO2.
What? Yeah, what? Hold up.
So
VO2 max. What is that?
It's like your oxygen levels. So basically, doing anything all out. Anything till failure. So like, you know, the assault bike or like the air bike, and you do that all out for a minute, right? And it's just like afterwards you literally want to die. That's like an example of doing something that is going to raise your VO2 max, right? Or sprinting at all out capacity, doing something basically until failure. The best thing that he ever said was all of these benefits. He listed about all the benefits that it does for you and everything that it can do for you. But then he said the con, there's pros and cons. The con is it sucks. But the great thing is it sucks for everybody. And so you get to be the one that chooses to do all of the benefited things, knowing that it sucks. And that's kind of like what running is sometimes you don't want to do it. It's hard, but then you do it, you get the benefits from it, and you're like, wow, I did it. And you stack that one after another. And the better you get at it, the more you like it. And the more you like it, the better you get at it. And it's just like, it's one of those things, which, I don't know, you guys, that's probably how burn was at first for you, probably, right? Like at first you were kind of like, I had so much fun after, but during it,
I
hate this.
Yeah, for sure. You're like, this hurts.
I think it's hilarious that you're relating Abby's workout class to being an Olympic athlete.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it with you tomorrow.
Let's go.
No way.
I promise you, you're going to be like, oh no, is she actually an Olympian? Because it's going to be a completely different energy system. Whenever you try something new that you've never done before and it's different than what you're used to, your body gets shocked into it. But I like doing that kind of thing. That's why I love cold therapy. Have you guys ever taken an ice bath?
Yes.
Ice tub? It's brutal, right? Like when you're in it and you're like, oh no, why would I ever do this? And then you get out and you're like, oh, I loved that. That was actually really nice. But when you're in it, you're like, I'd rather be anywhere else. But sometimes those are the most rewarding things, right?
Yeah. How do you push past that where you're like, ugh, this sucks?
Breathing, right? Like, I think doing deep breaths and staying really present in your breath, that's going to get you through almost anything. I mean, I used that at the Olympics when I like failed and I felt like I wanted to die and go home, I just kept doing one breath at a time, one step at a time, one event at a time.
Can we talk about that a little bit? I guess we're going to rewind a little bit.
Yeah, we should rewind because I'm doing a lot of things out of context.
No, you're good. You're totally good. I just can't imagine the feeling of like working your whole entire life for something and then actually making it, like getting to be at the Olympic Games in Paris, you're at the opening ceremony. What's going through your mind?
There's two things. Like the first thing is like, you're right. I trained for 20 years for this and it's not an easy journey at all. Like that's the one thing, if you really do want to do this, that I would say is it's so hard. It's something that you have to be willing to trade your life for. Mm-hmm. You have to miss family reunions. You can't eat any fun food at Thanksgiving. You have to miss birthday parties. You have to miss like a lot of stuff. I had to miss funerals. There's a lot of stuff that like you have to miss out on, you have to sacrifice. But I've also been at practice 9.5 hours in a day. It's my longest standing practice, but 6 hours was probably the most normal. A lot of times, like I'd leave at 8:30. I'd get home at 6:30 sometimes. I would get home at 6:30, make dinner, shower, and get ready for bed because I needed 10 hours of sleep. And it's that over and over, year after year, day after day. So to be able to even have a shot at the Olympic trials, it's so exciting, but it's also, think about the anxiety of I've been putting my life on hold for 20 years so that I can maybe make the Olympics.
Yep.
And in the USA, it's really hard to make the team. In 2021, I didn't make the team. If I would have made the team, the scores that made the team would have taken silver at the Olympics that year. So in order to even make the Olympics, you had to have been able to take silver at the Olympics. That's how intense it was, right? So the team is the hardest team to make possible. So you're putting all of the sacrifice for a roll of the dice on if you're going to have a good day that day and if you're going to be top 3 in the country and top 24 in the world.
Was your family, when you're missing family reunions and missing funerals, was your family telling you like, hey, maybe it's time to give this up? Like, was there anybody in your life that was like, you know what, is it worth it? Like, was there anybody saying that to you? Because at the time, nobody knew that you were actually going to make the Olympic team. Yeah,
sure. I think it's kind of, I remember when I left college, not left college, I graduated college and I knew I wanted to keep going. My parents actually sat me down. I sat them down and I said, hey, I'm going to go pro and I'm going to go move to Santa Barbara. And they told me, Chari, we love you, but like, I don't know if this is the choice for you. And I was like, oh, so maybe I didn't make myself clear. I literally said this to him, I'm letting you know that that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm letting you know.
How old were you?
I 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was a grown up. I was able to make the decision.
Yeah.
And the thing about my parents is they also don't miss anything, right? Like they come to everything. And guess who moved me to Santa Barbara? My parents.
Aww.
Right? So I think they were one of those things where they had my best interest at heart, but this was a scary thing, right? And they wanted to try to protect me as much as possible. They didn't want me to be disappointed or they didn't want me to be like lost. They didn't want me to waste my life, right? And then I ended up moving overseas 2 years later to England to go train. And I remember calling my parents and being like, hey, I'm going to move to England. And they were like, listen, you're not good. And they were trying to be right. They were just like, you are wonderful and we love you. But like, I don't know if the Olympics is really like in your future. Right. And so just, it's a lot. It's a big sacrifice. Like, we don't know. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm like, maybe I wasn't clear. I'm letting you know that this is what I'm doing. And they were like, okay. And then I went to England, had an amazing time in England, and I let them know after England, I'm moving to San Diego. And they were like, great, we trust you, you're great. And it took them a while to warm up to the idea, but at the end of the day, guess who was at every meet? Guess who came to England? Guess who, you know what I mean? My parents have been there for me the whole way as mentors, but also as supporters. And it kind of just goes to show that you don't have to have everybody's absolutely yes to make the decision, and that doesn't mean they're going to leave you either. You know what I mean? Even your biggest supporters can doubt you sometimes. You have to be the one that believes in you at the end of the day.
You must have to have like a little bit of crazy to like believe. You know, I've heard of that for entrepreneurs and anybody that wants to do something big. Like you literally have to have delusion to be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I can be in the top 0.0001%.
Yeah.
But you had it and then it worked. Like I don't, it's weird because like hearing your parents, like they obviously were looking out for you and wanted the best for you. But it's almost like them telling you no made you like stronger in your beliefs for yourself. And it sounds like it pushed you to be an even better version of yourself in a way.
Sure. And I don't know how you guys feel, but there's something that I think we do as humans where we compare ourselves to other people instead of really looking into what we really believe we can do and leaving other people out of it. And I think, especially when I was younger, something that my parents really did instill in me is my own self-belief in myself. Like, you really can do anything you want. And it had nothing to do with what other people could do. And so they made me who I am. They shaped me who I am.
Yeah.
So my mom even said, I remember one time I was talking to her. She's like, at the end of the day, I raised you as an independent thinker. So like, I'm not surprised that, you know what I mean? I'm not surprised. Like you get it. And even they will say like, we're really glad you didn't listen to us because they are so proud of me and they're so wonderful. And I adore them. But yeah. And even if I feel like we do call it delusion, right? But I like to think of it as just the lack of comparison.
Yeah.
If we really are willing to just, it's okay that this person has XYZ. It doesn't mean that should be my journey. And it doesn't mean that can't be my journey. Like other people's success has nothing to do with me. And like my success has nothing to do with, other people. Like it's none of any of our own business. We have to focus on us. And I think that was something that I really had was just a one-track mind of I can do it. Even it doesn't mean that other people can't. It just means I know I can. I'm in my body and I'm in my brain and I know I can do it. You know, have you guys ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like you're just like, I just know I can do it. Like I don't know why. It's just like I just do.
For me, that was being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And my parents did the same thing to me. My mom saw me working like a full-time job, getting paid $0 to make YouTube videos, and she was like, Matt, you really should like focus on some other things. And for me, like my mom was the same way. She encouraged me to follow all my dreams. And when I was a child actor briefly as a kid, she drove me to all 40 shows that I had to do at this theater. And like, she spent more money on gas than the $300 I got paid to be in the show. Like, you know, so like, I totally relate to that. I wanted to ask you though, I saw this viral photo of like a before and after of you with LeBron James, and it was really really cool. Like I just looking at your social media, like you see LeBron James and you as like a little kid, and then next to the photo is you and LeBron James now in 2024 at the Olympics. Can you tell us the backstory of that photo?
Sure, yeah. So my dad is a basketball coach, and so every year we went to a big basketball tournament in Las Vegas. And I remember my brother was obsessed because he was like, oh my gosh, LeBron James is going to be here. But at that time, he wasn't pro yet. He was still in high school. And so was my brother. And so he was like, he is going to be here. And we're gonna like he showed me the magazine cover. He's like, this is the best basketball player like in high school ever. He's gonna go pro. He's amazing. His name's LeBron James. And so I was like looking out, I was like, oh, this is so cool, you know? And we kind of did that every year. Like we always looked for like up and comers. Like I think my mom and dad met Kobe Bryant like when he was in high school, like way back in the day. So it was like really cool. And we were leaving and I saw him and I was like, oh, that's him. That's literally him. And I was 12, right? I was like 12 years old, 11, 12. And so I had no manners and he was on the phone. So I was like, this is my shot, which it wasn't my shot. Wait until he's off the phone. But I didn't have that capacity as a little kid. And I went up to him and I mean, he's 17 years old, but he literally is as tall as he is now. So I'm like, excuse me, can I have a photo? And he was so nice.
That's really sweet. I, as a 12-year-old, would not have opened my mouth. I'm impressed by you because I've been too terrified.
Again, my brain, I was just like, oh yeah, like everybody wants to talk to me. Like as a little kid, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm adorable. I'm an adorable little 12-year-old and everybody wants to talk to me. It's fine.
I love that. I feel like you and Matt are similar. Like you would always go up to people and I would just be like, no. I don't want to bother them. I'm afraid.
I think that's a theater kid thing because I think I was also born to be a theater kid. Truly.
Really? Like, did you do any theater or no?
I wish, but I just did sports all the time. But I was always like, I took like the theater classes in high school, but I could never do the play because it was the same time as basketball. And I wanted to so bad, but I would always do like, I was obsessed. I wanted to be like a Broadway star. I'm obsessed with Broadway. Like we go to a show in San Diego once a month. Like, love it, obsessed with it, hobby, love it. But yeah, I think it's like a theater kid thing. We're just like, oh my gosh, like shining like a bright star. Like, I don't know.
Who did you have take that picture?
My mom took it. Yeah.
Okay.
And actually it's funny because my sister is on the other side of him and I cut her out and she's so bitter. She's like, how dare you? I'm like, well, you weren't in the second photo. You needed it. So anyways, I went up to him. I was like, can I take a photo? And he literally said, like on his flip phone, because back in the day, on his little flip phone, not even a razor phone, those weren't even invented yet. And he goes, oh, hey, just a second. And he said, of course. Aww. And he takes a picture. He literally, I'll share the original with my sister in the background, but behind my sister's back is his phone open because he's still on the phone taking the picture. Aww. And the phone looks like it's this big in his hand.
Probably.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Yeah, it is so funny. And so we took the photo. And it was just like a photo that we loved because then he became King James, right? So we were like, we have the photo before he was even King James. And like we were obviously, like when you meet somebody before they even got big, like you're just like, you believe that you're related to them, right? Like somehow we're connected, like we're related, it's fine. And so yeah, when I first wanted to make the team in 2016, that was my first attempt at making the team. I remember having this vision, like not literally, I envisioned this like thought process of me being with the basketball team and showing LeBron James like, hey, like let's recreate this photo. And I remember just like sitting in that and being like, please, like I really want to do that. That would be so cool as like we're Olympians and like all these things. And I remember seeing him and instantly I went through the photo and I got it. I had it ready to go. And we were getting ponchos and I was like, I need a poncho. It was pouring rain outside. So as I got the poncho, I put on my poncho and all of a sudden I look and I was actually getting ready to take a video to be like, poncho's on, rain is here, you know? And all of a sudden he was right behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my perfect opportunity. So I pulled up my photo. I said, hey, can we take a picture? He said, of course. He said, of course. And I was like, ah! And we took the photo. And then I was like, can I show you something? And I brought up the photo and I showed it to him. And he goes, oh my gosh. And he grabbed my phone and he's like, no way. And like, he looks at it and he's just like, this is crazy. And then as we all do, you know, when we like have we have a phone and you see a picture of yourself when you're young and you want to swipe through. So he swipes and then he realizes like, oh, I'm swiping on a stranger's phone. He's like, here you go. And he gave my phone back to me.
That's so funny.
But he was like that. And he's like, thank you so much for showing me. That took me back. And it was so funny because I remember when I was a little kid and we got the photo because my brother wasn't there, so he didn't get the photo. It was such a bummer. But I remember being so excited because Isaiah, my brother, had just talked to me about the photo and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna get to show him this picture. And I remember being like so giddy and so excited. And it was so weird because that feeling of like when he walked away, like when he had to like leave, I had that same feeling when I was a kid. And I was like, this is crazy. Like it was just the most nostalgic like thing. And I just was like, I just love him.
Was
He's
the
so
photo
great.
taken on a flip phone? The first one?
Probably, yeah. Or one of those like little digital cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it was either one of those things because the original photo is a photo of a photo.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. The one that.
No way.
Yeah.
What I love about that story is how genuine and kind he was to you. Because I think people get in there, they see like a clip of some super famous person turning down a picture or saying no to like a kid when they're like walking into some event, and it's like you have to realize that if you're that famous and literally everywhere you go, 100 people want to get your picture every second you're out in public, like. You can't say yes to every single one. And so I just love that, like, you clearly see his character there, you know?
I know. He's so... Do you know that's not the first time I've attempted to recreate that photo with him either?
No way.
You're like, I tried a couple times.
So at the ESPYs, I think 2 years ago, was he hosting? Yeah, he was hosting the ESPYs, and so he had like an after party that he was there, but his whole family was there, right? And I went up to him, but he's like on top of a thing, and I wanted to show him the photo, but he had like a security guard that was like this, and like wouldn't let me like up there, and I was like trying, and he waved at me and like gave me like a little bow, which was still so sweet, and it was like loud, and then I was like, aw, dang, and then CJ was just like, well, that was really brave of you, to be fair. Like, and he was still so nice, because that's one of those things that like everybody wants his time and attention, and his whole family's there, and he's just, but he still like acknowledged me and was like, and he waved and like all of that. But I couldn't get the photo. But this one was so much better. It was so much better.
Thank you to Haya for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
Haya, and thank you for watching our podcast.
Dad joke.
That was a dad joke.
We have a new obsession. Well, our toddler has a new obsession, and that literally is his Haya vitamins. He calls them medicine.
He keeps saying
he
medicine.
Points to his reusable yellow Haya jar, and he says medicine, and he begs for it. I'm like, you already had one today. You can only have one.
But it's not like, just like so a once a day thing. Like it's constant. He loves them.
Medicine, which is crazy. Like, they must taste amazing. But what's really cool about Haya is that it's not filled with all of that junk that's in a lot of kids' vitamins. Yeah. Because typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise. They're filled with 5 grams of sugar, which is crazy. Unhealthy chemicals and other gummy junk growing kids should never eat. But Haya was formulated with the help of nutritional experts. It's pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals. Basically, it helps fill in gaps in children's diets, which I totally see why that's necessary, because now our toddler is just doing typical toddler things, and where he used to eat a wide variety of foods that are very nutritious for him, now he's much more selective with what he chooses to eat.
He's picky. He just likes chicken fries now. He just wants chicken tenders and fries.
It's pretty bad, but that's why I'm really glad that Haya has this pediatrician approved super powered chewable vitamin that he loves, but it also has lots of good nutrition in it for him to kind of help fill in where he's just being picky. We worked out a special deal with Haya actually for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim the deal, you must go to hayahealth.com/unplanned. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hayahealth.com/unplanned and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
Talk to us a little bit about the Olympic Village. I know when we first met today, you were telling Abby how you wanted to try the Olympic muffins that she had made on TikTok.
Yes.
Because you had tried the actual ones at the Olympic Village.
Yes.
But I noticed you weren't eating those, or really like you were keeping yourself from eating those until after your event. So
I know I was giving them away to like my friends and family to like taste them, hoping that all of them would be like, they're not that good. Like, they're not that, and like terrible friends being like, these are the best things I've ever had in my life. Just tell me they're not that good. And then when I can have them, you can be like, right, they were the best things ever. We were just being nice. But I finally was able to like test them out and try them, and they were amazing. They were so good. So yeah, when I saw that you made them, I was like, oh my gosh, do you have any more? Because I would love to compare them.
I said in the video, I was like, they feel like they're towing the line between cake and muffins.
Oh yeah, it was a dessert. It was like not an athletic like protein packed thing. That was a delicacy, like truly. But
what do you have to eat to train? Like you.
Yes. Like, so for me personally, I think just like as I've gotten older, my body responds less to like super sugary foods and even like pasta and bread. It just causes me a lot of inflammation in my gut, and because I train up to 9 hours a day, I have to mitigate as much inflammation as I can, because my body is so inflamed all the time, my joints and everything. So if my gut is also inflamed, that's what's going to cause a lot of injury. So being able to eat clean, it really isn't about like, oh, I'm eating clean because I want to look a certain way or anything like that. It's really just mitigating as much inflammation as I possibly can. So really all I do is anything that like processed sugars, processed foods, and like the bread and pastas, literally just during season. And then an off season, I'm like, all right, when are we going to eat? Can we eat everything? I would like all the things on the menu. Thank you. Okay.
Is that not unhealthy on your body to train that hard and that long?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing, that's a really good question, because the answer is probably yes. But I think the other thing that I really make sure to do is I go to physical therapy 4 times a week. So I'm also making sure that I'm getting as much recovery and as much physical therapy movement. So I'm not just getting all of like the pounding on my body, but really making sure that I'm strengthening all of those tiny little muscles for stability, and really like allowing my body to recover as much as possible too. So I sleep like 10 hours a night.
Wow.
For recovery, which probably sounds so nice as parents for you guys. You guys are like, wait, what's that like? Can we talk more about that?
I actually slept 4 hours last night, so.
That's his own fault. He didn't go to bed.
Yeah, that wasn't due to my kids, though.
I honestly can't imagine. I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah.
You sleep 10 hours a night?
I sleep like 8 hours. I'm like, my body hurts.
Oh, I'm sure.
My nervous system is, I'm shaking.
Yeah.
So what time do you go to bed?
It depends on like what my day is like. So if my practice is going to start at 10, I'll try to wake up at like 8:30. So I'll go to bed like at 9, so I can drift off to sleep slow and like all of that kind of stuff. If I have a later night, I'll literally text my coaches and be like, I didn't get to bed till 11. So I really need to push back my practice. My coaches are always like really amenable to that as well.
Is a practice just you? Like, is it one-on-one?
Yeah, like I have trained with training partners, which I highly prefer and highly recommend. It is so much more fun. But honestly, ever since COVID, I've been kind of a solo dolo lady. It's really great because you do get one-on-one with your coaches. And I really love the attention to detail that I can give myself because I can take my time. I don't have to rush because other people have to leave. So we have to get the workout done. It's really on my time. And I really do like that. But over and over and over, day in and day out, working out by yourself is such a challenge. And there was a part where I was showing up to practice every day anxious because I just knew like it's gonna be a lot of hard work. Even if I didn't have a huge workout that was gonna be really lactic, I would get really anxious because I just knew it was gonna be a lot of work. And okay, what am I doing this for? I'm doing this for the Olympics. You got to put one foot in front of the other. So
you train every single day?
No. So I train 5 days a week. I always take Wednesdays off and I always take Thursdays off. I mean, not Thursdays. I always take Sundays off. Saturdays are just hard runs. It's a really, really difficult run. And then I'm training pretty much all day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And so that's why I need that Wednesday off because I go so hard on Monday, Tuesday. If I kept going, I think my body would break down so much. So
wow.
Wednesday and Sunday are my recovery days.
What does a recovery day look like?
Yeah.
It kind of depends. It's usually like I'll try to get a nap in there for sure, just as much sleep as I can. But there's a lot of like the Normatec boots. Have you guys ever been in those? Like the massage boots? Have you ever seen them?
I've seen those before.
Like the little compression.
Yeah,
I could have brought them. We could have been in them while we were doing.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's just like it fills up with air, so it squeezes your feet, then it squeezes your calves, and it squeezes your knees. So it's really nice. But it just kind of gets blood flow. Sometimes I'll do just like a little bike circuit. Sometimes I'll do physical therapy as well. So we'll go in and I'll get some body work. I'll get a massage. I'll do cold therapy and just a lot of relaxing. A lot of just like trying to rest your nervous system so that you can get back at it the next day.
Wow, that's intense. That's a lot more than I would have. I mean, I don't even know what I thought it would look like, but all day that's what I'm surprised by.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that, like, yes, it's all day, but it's a lot of technical work. It's a lot of it's physical work, it's mental work, it's technical work. I see 2 sports psychs. So each of those sessions, I see them once a week, and each of those sessions are an hour. So I spend one of them, we go really deep into the subconscious and we try to like unlearn any traumas that I had, like not making the team in 2021. I had to unlearn a lot of that. And then I have another sports psych that kind of gives me the mindset stuff, like what I'm thinking consciously, and then what I'm thinking subconsciously. So there's a lot that goes into it.
So paying a psychologist, going to physical therapy, ice baths, all this treatment, paying coaches, who pays for all this stuff?
Your girl pays for it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the thing is that's why sponsors are so important. And we talked about this a little bit before, but in 2016, when I really went pro, I actually talked to CJ and I just told him, there's no way anybody's going to pay me to do the heptathlon because nobody knows what it is. Like, guarantee most people watching this, unless they're watching it because I sent them here, like they don't know what a heptathlon is. They have no idea what it is. They've never heard of it. They probably think I swim. You know what I mean? At some point, they probably thought there was a swim in there or a bike, kind of a thing. Nobody knows about it, so nobody's going to pay you to do it. And that's why I started doing social media in the first place, because it's so expensive paying coaches. And like a lot of the people like I am able to, like, if you do really well, then your like United States Track and Field will give you a stipend for coaching and like all that, but that's only if you're taking top 3. So think about the hundreds of girls who are training to do this, and they're making it to the Olympic trials, but because they didn't make it to the World Championships, they didn't make it to the Olympics, like now they don't have a grant. They don't have anybody helping them pay for it. And a lot of sponsors are like, sorry, you didn't make the Olympics.
Is that why a lot of Olympic athletes are now making content? They're trying to monetize on social media. That way they can pay their coaches, pay for physical therapy.
That's why I started social media in the first place, honestly. I wouldn't have started social media if it wasn't to fund track and field. For sure.
Unreal.
Yeah, I remember I actually got a comment once, like way back in the day, because I did social media content so that I could potentially get sponsors, and I finally started getting sponsors. So every once in a while, I would put a sponsored post on, and I remember somebody commented like, hey, like your stuff, now all of a sudden you're doing sponsored content, and I really don't appreciate that. And I was like, I really responded, and I said, I hope you really do appreciate the hustle of it, because I get paid negative $4,000 a month to do track. Literally, to do track and field, I get paid negative $4,000 a month, and this is the only way I can keep doing what I love. And he responded, he was like, you know what, respect. And I never thought about that before, but that's the thing, is it's not even about being like, oh, and it's about, this is my job. So at the beginning, I was a nanny, and I taught cooking. That was what I did
to pay for it all.
That's what I did to like subsidize before I was able to actually grow my following. And now I'm able to focus on track and then use social media as a way to pay for essentially my hobby. I'd love it to be my job. It just doesn't pay me enough to call it my job, right?
And $4,000 a month, is that at the time what it was, or like has it gone up since then? Because you're competing at a very high level. So
yeah, I don't actually. I haven't written down how much it costs me to do track and field per month in a long time, and I think I also probably want to be like, I don't want to know. No, it doesn't. $1,000 a month, it's fine. Like it's probably a lot of that, honestly. Just like. A lot of times I'm probably like, oh, I have no idea, and I don't want to know how much actually.
So if you had a guess, though, what would you guesstimate you're paying right now to pay for your hobby, is what you said?
That's hard, because the other thing is I have to, in order for me to train all year round in the perfect weather in San Diego, I have to live in San Diego. So that also includes, right now that's the most expensive place to live in the United States. And so it's also going to include like just the sunshine tax from San Diego. But I would probably say I spend like $6,000 to $7,000 a month. I would probably say, but that could be like a gross exaggeration. But I do remember a long time ago writing down, and I think I had like $5,000 a month that I was paying. And I have added a lot of things like to that. 'Cause I see like a doctor that's like an Eastern medicine doctor, and I see him every week, and it's just $120. Like, here you go. But that's not including physical therapy. That's not including like random MRIs to just make sure, oh, this is hurting, and before we keep going, we need to make sure nothing's happening. It doesn't include a lot of stuff. So, but didn't they say, speaking of the king, doesn't LeBron James spend like millions of dollars in recovery?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, but I'm sure he does.
Because especially as you get older, you just have to prioritize your body. A lot of people ask me, how are you still getting better? Like, I'm 33 years old, and I PR'd in almost every single one of my events this year.
That's insane.
And still getting better, and I still feel like I haven't scratched the surface in a lot of them. But the whole reason is because I have to take perfect care of my body in order for it to last, sure.
Do you think it's more of a mental game? Because I've heard marathon runners get better as they get older because they realize they're capable of so much more than they originally thought. So do you think like getting older has made you realize, wow, I can do so much more?
In the heptathlon, it's really interesting because there's 7 events. And so for each of the events, you can't train every single one of them every day. Because like high jump will last an hour and a half. So if I trained every single one of them every day, plus I added an hour and a half warm up and a 30-minute cool down, that would be the whole day, right? So you can only practice them 1, maybe 2 times a week. And so if your season is 30 weeks, you're practicing them 30 times, right? And so thinking about only getting to practice something 30 times, but you have to train for the Olympics, over the years, those practices will add up. So in the heptathlon, it's just like the more experience you get with each event, the more you figure them out. And I think that's why I've gotten better, is because every year I just kind of figure it out. But since I stay healthy, I don't have to take a break.
And I'm one of those idiots that thought the heptathlon probably had biking in it or swimming in it.
No, totally. It makes sense.
What, like, can you describe to somebody who's like, I have no idea what all the events are? Yes. Can you explain what it is and kind of the whole process of it?
Yeah. So track and field, we say it's like the OG Olympic event, which is running, jumping, and throwing all in one. So it's track and field events. It's 2 days, and it's 7 events over those 2 days. So day 1 is hurdles, 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, and 200-meter dash. And then we go home, we rest up, we come back the next day, we do long jump, javelin, and then we finish with the 800 meters. So when we're training, we have to be able to run, jump, throw, and hurdle. And so we're training so many different energy systems at all times while trying to still maintain our like health and maintain our fitness at the same time.
Are there some pretty strict rules with the javelin throw? Like, hey, let's make sure no one's here so no one gets impaled. Like, I've heard of people getting impaled with those things before, right? Like, hasn't that happened?
What? Oh, no, it happens all the time.
What?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've never seen, I'm grateful I've never seen somebody get like stabbed, but like you hear stories all the time about like people getting stabbed. And like same thing, think about like discuses. They're like these big, discuses are like these big spherical like discs that are so heavy. And people will throw them and people get hit in the head.
Oh my God.
With them. Hammer throws are big balls with chains on the end that people toss like 200 feet. So imagine 200 feet flying in the air.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me think of Matilda.
Oh, yeah.
Trunchable.
Shot put, javelin, hammer throw. And I do 2 of those 3. Yeah, I do 2 of those 3.
You look so different from Trunchbull, though. You're like a Barbie.
Oh, my gosh. Well, the thing, do you know what's actually funny is, interestingly enough, is I'm one of the throwing is my strong suit in the heptathlon. So like I usually after the throws, I'll creep up in ranking.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, but it's because I kind of feel like I figured out that if you can jump and be explosive, you can actually figure out the throws like really good. It's not all about like perfect strength. It's all about like timing. It's pretty cool. But yeah.
How do you, I mean, we've talked a lot about like the physical training, but how do you mentally prepare and train for events like this?
I don't know. My question to you guys is like, when is like the most nervous you've ever been for like some sort of performance?
Oh shoot.
Oh gosh.
Think about just a time that you were just so stinking nervous. Like
I feel like auditions are more nerve-wracking.
Auditions, but maybe for me, I did a talent show in a theater that had like over 2,000 seats.
Oh wow.
It was like a St. Louis talent show. I'd made it to the finals and I was crapping my pants because like I had performed in front of 11,000 people before, but I was also a kid and I had just like, when you're a kid, you just have all the confidence in the world. And like I was part of a cast. So you're with the team, right? Like it kind of feels like you're not alone. You're not doing, but I was singing and playing guitar by myself in front of over 2,000 people. I was like, I cannot mess this up. Like it was terrifying, but I also love that feeling at the same time, you know?
It's like afterwards you like it. When you're in it, you're like, I'm drowning. I feel like I'm suffocating from the inside. Like what's going on? What about you?
I feel like honestly, maybe college auditions because like with shows, like you've rehearsed so much that you're like, I kind of know what's going on. I can live in the moment. But auditions, they could throw anything at you. And like the stakes were so high because it's like where we were going to be for the next 4 years. And I feel like those were probably the most nerve-wracking. When we went to Chicago and did all those auditions.
Yes.
It was a bad time for me. I was so nervous. It was a bundle of nerves. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat.
So is that what every event is for you?
I'm literally letting you guys know, like you guys have felt, it's the same anxiety. It's that same feeling. And I think, and it's that pressure of, I don't know if you guys have ever felt this, but like if I don't do well, people are going to think less of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And, or I won't be relevant. If I do well, like I'll be relevant. And if I don't do well, like nobody will talk to me. Nobody's going to be, because like what happened in 2021 truly is I think nobody knew what to say. Right. So I got a lot of like, we love yous right after. And then for 3 months, I think people wanted to just give me my space. But what ended up happening is nobody talked to me anymore. And I'm a really social person. And so I was talking to people every day. I was talking to my friends and family like every single day. And so all of a sudden, you know, in their mind, they're thinking I'm giving Chari space. But what ended up happening is I realized like, wow, my community doesn't like me if I don't make the Olympics.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it got me into like the deepest, darkest space that I've ever been in my life, for sure. Definitely like in a space of like, wow, like you thought that you were training all these years for yourself to like fulfill your dream, but I didn't realize I was training so that I had value.
Yeah.
And that thought process really shook me up a lot, and it brought me to like a really, really deep, dark spot. So I had to do a lot of mental training to get out of that. I had to do what's called brain spotting, which is kind of, it reminds me of EMDR. Have you guys heard of like EMDR?
Yeah.
I've never done EMDR, but like when people talk to me about like what that is, it reminds me a lot of that. And it's just kind of like you living through processing those kinds of emotions. And I had this epiphany because I was getting a lot of anxiety coming up to the Olympic trials in 2024. And I realized like, what am I genuinely afraid of? And I realized I was afraid of losing my community again. So what I did instead is I told everybody. I told my parents, I told my friends. I was like, this is what happened in 2021, and I know none of you guys meant to do this. Like, I know, because I know you and I know your hearts. All of you just wanted to give me my privacy, my space to heal. But like what actually happened is I felt abandoned, and I need to know that like if for some reason I don't make the team again, you'll be here. And overwhelmingly, obviously, my family was like, oh my gosh, of course. Like, what are you, crazy? Like, and also I'm so sorry. And I was like, you do not owe me an apology, because obviously they did not, that wasn't like on them. That was a reflection of what I thought. And it was weird, but having that like safety net caused a lot of my anxiety to go away. But I wouldn't have known that I needed to say that to them if I wouldn't have processed that first part. And so when you say that there's a lot of mental training going into it, like you have no idea how important it is to mentally train. And I always like, you know, a lot of people don't like the thought of therapy, or they think of it feels too like hot girl summer therapy, you know, like I don't like that, because what it really is it's emotional training and it's mental training. Like if we can think of therapy as sports psychology, but life psychology, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll have better intentions of like unlearning things that we taught ourselves subconsciously. Like if I don't show up this way, nobody's going to love me. That we didn't realize that. And so, yeah, mental training is so big in the sport. And it's crazy how much sport can apply to life in real life. It's crazy.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
I just started going to individual therapy recently, and it has been one of the best things. I don't know why people don't talk about therapy more, because I really think it's something that everybody should do. It doesn't matter if you're going through a crisis or just dealing with everyday things, but I think therapy is something that everyone and anyone can benefit from. That's actually why I'm a huge fan of BetterHelp. Not only is it convenient and you can have a therapy session from the convenience of your own home, you can also switch your therapist at any time free of charge if that therapist just really isn't working for you. I think it's a really great way to get into therapy if it's something that you're thinking about but don't really know where to start.
For sure. I feel like every time we get to this time of year, every single year, back to school season, I get so nostalgic, and I like miss qualities of like starting a fresh school year, the creativity, the wonder of it all, and like being a child. And I feel like therapy is something that can really connect you back to like the things that inspire you and give you that sense of wonder too. And so therapy has been a really good thing for the two of us, both individually and together. And I think BetterHelp is just like the modern way to fit it into. There's so many things we're trying to fit into our schedules, and BetterHelp makes that possible because it's entirely online, designed to fit you and your schedule. It's very flexible, and you can cancel, like Matt said, switch therapists at any time. So it's really therapy that's made to support you in every aspect of your life. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Chari BetterHelp.com/unplannedpodcast today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/unplannedpodcast. It's really inspiring how like you took it upon yourself to do the work, and then also to like, I feel like it's a common thing nowadays. You hear a lot about people being like, oh, I just had to like set up boundaries. Like that wasn't, not that boundaries are always bad. In fact, a lot of times they're very healthy, but like you didn't look at the people in your life and think that they were, you know, bad, or you said the problem wasn't them. It was just how you were processing their reaction. The fact that you had an honest conversation and said like, hey, this is how I felt, this is what happened, this is how it made me feel,
this is what I need,
this is what I know your intentions were, but this is what I need different next time. Like I respect that so much.
Yeah, I'm actually, it's I don't know, like, because you said the same thing, like it's not that boundaries aren't important, but like there's something about, I don't know what you guys think about this, but there's something about saying the word boundary to somebody that feels like an attack.
Yeah, I agree.
And I like, hey, I'm setting a boundary here. I believe in boundaries too, but I believe in genuine boundaries. Like, hey, would it be okay if we did X, Y, and Z? Because I think last time X, Y, and Z happened, and I think this would be better. You know what I mean? And to me, that's the same as being like, I'm going to set a boundary here. But like, I think if we say I'm going to set a boundary here, it feels very like, you're wrong, and now it almost feels like you're calling somebody toxic.
Yeah.
When it's okay to set a boundary, just making sure that we're doing it in a way that feels like it doesn't feel therapized. It feels like genuine, like coming from my heart. Like I love you and I want to have a relationship with you. And this also could be a privilege of me having an incredible relationship with my parents. Yeah. So there could be people that are like, privilege much? Like not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. And I actually acknowledge that too. Like it's important to acknowledge that as well. But like in my opinion, like even with my coaches, like I'm very, very like strict with like, hey, that last workout that we did that I didn't hit, I know you guys wanted to give me a workout that was harder for me to see if I could hit it. But the fact that we're giving me workouts where I'm failing, I can't do it. And so we need to shift. And what happened actually is they kept not shifting. And they kept giving me workouts that I didn't know I was going to fail because I'd never done that workout before. And then I kept failing workouts. And I kept being like, hey, what are we doing? Can we give me workouts where we know I can succeed? And finally, it got to a space where I was like, hey, I'm actually going to just do my workouts on my own and write my own workouts. And it was so great. It was just, and they were like, okay. And to me, that was me setting a boundary, right? Like we requested, it didn't happen. And then it was like, hey, great idea. I think I'm just going to do my workouts on my own. And they were like, okay, if that's what you want to do. So
something you mentioned earlier was that you had put your value in your sport. And so I'm curious if that's something that you still do.
Say more. What do you mean by that?
Like, do you still place like because you said it felt like if you didn't make the Olympics, right, then people wouldn't want to be around you because like you felt like your whole value is derived from the thing that you did, which was the sport that you competed in at this very high level. So I'm curious if you found a way to derive your value outside of that, or if that's still something that you struggle with. Yeah.
Do you guys feel that way ever? Like with like you know, you've found so much success here. You know, you found so much success with your like online community. And do you guys ever feel that way where like you derive a lot of your value for like how things do or how you're perceived or how things are going? Do you guys ever feel that way?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Matt, 100%. We've talked a lot about that. Matt specifically.
What have you guys, because like the thing is like when you guys get into a space where somebody has a negative opinion of you and then their stuff goes viral and their stuff feels, and it's so hurtful, by the way, even if you don't believe it, and even if like you guys have each other to go through it, right? What do you guys do for that?
I think something that I had to realize is like we've had podcast clips go viral for the wrong reasons, and the negativity that came from that used to be like super hurtful. But I've realized now like those people that have, you know, negative things to say about me or our relationship, they don't actually know who I am, and so I have to like dissociate from that character that they paint me to be. Yeah. And so I think that's like really helped give me like mental clarity. Yeah. So
and I'm being like so serious, like both of you guys, you just exude amazing energy. Like
thank you.
Like truly. Nice. And I think like it's hard when people don't know you, and so they don't get a chance to see you and talk to you and ask you their own questions, and hear you ask them questions and look them in the eye and like have such kind energy with everything. And so they hear some sort of like clip that was clipped out of context, or they're putting their own stories onto people, and it's tough because it's almost bigger than you at that point, and there's nothing you can do. And I remember I had a comment that said like, "Oh, that's why Chari's so annoying. She's from Idaho." You know, like on like a USATF clip. But the thing is I was like, I get it. Like, I get that like my energy is really big. It's a lot. I talk super fast. And I get how that's like, yo, like we need to get her out of here to some people. But I also know that like I can't take it personally because that is them that can't handle it. And it has nothing to do with me, right? And it's like, maybe like people are like looking at you too and they're like, I don't like that because like personally, whatever is my story, I can't handle that. You know what I mean? And so I need it to be a certain story, right?
I feel like you're interviewing us right now. It's kind of cracking me up. Like, it's funny how you were like, wait, how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah.
But by the way, I love your energy, and I think you're just like such a positive person. I know we've only been around each other for like an hour.
Yeah, but I was like, we're friends now, right?
yeah. Like we're like,
we're friends.
Move to Arizona.
1,000%.
Who knew?
It's an honor.
So, but yeah, I think like before we started recording, you mentioned something about how you literally cannot take anything personally because people are always going through their own things, and their actions are largely derived from whatever demons they're fighting, you know, in their life. And so I thought that was like a really good take.
Yeah. Have you like in that same thing, have you guys ever like wanted, like you see a video that kind of like struck something in you from you, and you wanted to like, why would you say something like that and like comment that? And then you're like, oh, maybe not. Like, have you ever stopped yourself from commenting?
Yourself? Like,
no. Have you ever stopped yourself from commenting either back to a troll or commenting on somebody else's video? Have you ever like stopped yourself from doing that before?
Yeah, I try to not like get into that. Like if someone's going to leave a negative comment, like there's nothing you can do to change their mind.
No, totally.
But something that I've realized is I'm like, I've literally never in my life left a mean comment on someone's post. I'm like, who are these people that are like, their life must be really sad if they're...
But what it is there's something that triggered them inside, and they couldn't help it. And it was, to them, it was like, I needed to get it out because I can't help but think it, right? I can't, but it isn't you. Yeah. It is always going to be them. Like, I actually remember somebody left me a direct message that was just like, I just want you to know that, like, I think that you are the ugliest person I've ever met. And I was like, okay. No. And I was like, and I remember at first when I read it, it like stung. And then I was like, here's like the truth of the reality is like that person really did want to get my attention in some way because there was something in their lives that they needed something to hold on to. And I was like, it isn't about me. It is never about me. It's never about me, you know? And sometimes you just have to remember that, like, and it sucks. But in the same way with like sports is I had to also be willing to disassociate like my performance with, it's not about me. Like, that isn't who I am. My performance isn't a reflection of me because of the mark or the time that I got. The performance is about me in the way that I showed up. Like, I showed up as me, and I worked really hard, and I smiled through it, and I like made sure that everybody else was having a good time, and I cheered on all of my competitors, and like that's what makes me me. And just because I didn't, you know, do what I wanted to do, that doesn't say anything about who I am. But how I showed up to it, that's where it really goes, you know?
On the subject of social media, one of the first videos I saw of you was the viral video from this year's Olympics where you no-hided in the heptathlon. And I just couldn't help but feel so much just sympathy for you, like in that moment of like, man, she's clearly trained her whole life for this moment, and like once it's so bad, what was going through your mind in that moment? So high jump is my best event, and that's like my baby event. I love that event. That event has never steered me wrong. It's always where I get all my points, and I've never no-hided. And I cleared that bar. I've been clearing that bar since high school.
So a lot of people were telling me, like, why didn't you come in earlier? But what they don't understand is high jumping, when you land on your joints, you're putting 700 times your body weight of force onto your joints when you take off in the high jump, because you're running to a jump and you're stopping all your momentum going straight up over the bar. So you only have about like 8 to 10 jumps in you total. So you have to be really careful where you come in, because if you come in too early, by the time you get to a jump that you should be clearing, you're going to be exhausted. So you have to be really, really choosy of when you come in. And so I came in at a very conservative height. And when I didn't clear all 3 of those bars, whatever the reason was, it was just like one of those things, chaotic timing, all of that kind of stuff. I was just bewildered. And I was looking at my coach because I had never no-heighted in the high jump before. It was a brand new experience. And I was looking up with the Olympic rings everywhere and just in such shock. I couldn't believe it. Truly, I couldn't believe that I had done that. And in that moment, I thought, like, remember how I told you it's hard to disassociate yourself from like what you're doing? Like, this is who I am? Like the person who chokes at the Olympics? Like that's me? Like that didn't seem like me. And so that gave me like a lot of like shame and emotion, and I wanted it so bad, and I worked so hard, and I actually thought, like, you made it all the way here to do this. And there was just so many things, and I didn't realize that the camera was right here. Didn't even notice. And so when I saw the video, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, even I was a little bit like, whoa. Like, I've never watched my heartbreak in front of my own eyes before. Like, I've never seen myself go through like all the stages of grief in one video. And so yeah, it was like a seriously tough decision. A tough situation. And usually what happens in the heptathlon, if you know height and high jump, congratulations, you just took last place. Like, point blank period, the end, you lost 1,000 points, you're done. Over 1,000 points, you're done. And so a lot of people will just drop out at that point. Like,
this was your first event.
This is second event of 7. And so congratulations, goodbye, kind of a thing. But I also had a lot of thought processes of, I had over 30 people that came to Paris to watch me. And I don't think they came so that they could have this pride of watching me win a medal. Like, I think they came to watch me. I think they came to watch me do what I love, right? And I think they came to celebrate me being at the Olympics. And I did it for them. And then I thought about me, past Chari, for the last year, like decade, 2 decades, working so hard to get to this moment. And then I did it for her, right? And I also did it for all the other athletes. There were a lot of athletes from America, actually, that fouled 3 of their jumps or fouled 3 of their throws. Some of them were Olympic champions. And so they were heartbroken. And I had an opportunity to chat to them after I went home. We had 7-hour break before the shot put, and I had 7 hours to sob my eyes out. It was really, I came back, you know how you feel after a good cry, ready to do a heptathlon?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but I was able to talk to like a few people that had done that, and we were just sobbing together, like crying. And I thought to myself, I wonder what those guys would give to be able to go back on the stage, even if they were like, you can't do a medal, but please let me try again. Please let me try again. And I had 5 more chances to try again. And like, when can you possibly say that? If you false start, or if you know height, or if you're done. You don't get to come back. But I got to come back. And that's so rare. And as painful as it was, because I was mourning at the same time, mourning all of the work that I had done. And I remember I had my like face in my pillow, and I was just screaming, I'm sorry, over and over, because it just, it was actually really sad. Just, I'm sorry. And I was especially sorry to my past self for all the hard work I did. And I felt like I messed it up for her. Gosh. But they're going to be like, why is this girl crying so much?
No, it's totally okay.
All the time.
There's actually, people cry a lot during the podcast. Okay. It's totally cool. Yeah. It's totally cool.
But like, I just felt so bad for her, and I felt so sorry, and But like, I also knew, you know, the pain that you feel right now, the grief that you're feeling, it will last forever if you quit. But if you push through, especially if you push through this pain and you show up. So I showed up for the rest of the competition with the biggest smile on my face. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. When I was warming up, I like remember day 2, I went back and my makeup was fierce. I did like the heaviest,
it is always fierce
makeup you could. And then I started warming up and I started so.
Oh no. Story of my life too though. Dang.
And then finally I like went to one of the coaches that was on the team and she's like, you're gonna need to go to the bathroom, and it literally looked like a Halloween costume of someone crying. Like, actually, that's probably what I should be for Halloween. I should be me at the Olympics in my uniform with like mascara running down her face, because it was so bad, because I couldn't have had more heavy makeup on and it was just all down my face. And I was like, this is not the version of the girl that I want to show up as on the track. So I had to wipe off all my makeup and I was like, okay. But I knew, like, you have to go on, and I told the girls, I said, listen, my score doesn't matter at this point. So I get to be the vibe energy girl. So I was like, my job is to make sure all of you PR. So I was like trying to joke with all of them, and I was like, we got this, and like really just cheering for everybody, and like trying to like cheer for the crowd, and trying to like be there for everybody there. And because I was like, that's the best version of me at the end of the day. You know, it's not even about the performance at this point. It's about just showing up and like being the very, very best version of me. And I hope I can take that more into life too. I try to. Sports, it's crazy. Sometimes sports teach you so much about life. It's crazy.
What was something someone told you in that 7 hours after the second event? You know, you got to speak with other people that had been through something similar. Was there something that someone said that really helped you cope and helped you get through that really hard time?
Do you know what? I think if I'll be honest, and I don't know if this is the most politically correct thing to say, but it was probably misery loves company. It probably made me feel better that I wasn't alone. It made me feel less alone. Yeah. Because we were crying together. No, because them doing it didn't make me feel better, but I think we made each other feel better, that like at least I wasn't the only person who had a traumatic thing, and we can be a community together, you know, kind of a thing. And so I think it was more, I don't know if that's like it. What I think that's probably the thing that helped the most, is just like, you get me, and like I don't feel like I'm alone in this.
No,
you know?
that's so relatable.
Yeah.
Like I feel the same way when I've never been through something like that, but when I've had hard times, I don't know, it feels good to talk to somebody else who's like really struggling, and you're like, yeah, like my life sucks, like your life sucks too, like let's go. You know?
It makes you feel like you're not crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, thank goodness. Like, okay, cool. I'm not like a complete failure. Like, this is just a human thing that happens, you know?
Yeah. And wouldn't it be so weird too for someone who hasn't experienced what you've gone through to try to come over and be like, hey, it's gonna be all, and it's like, you don't even have any clue what I'm going through right now. You have no idea. So someone who's like literally in your same shoes, that makes sense.
I think I opened the gate for my coach as well, though, because her first Olympics, she's an Olympic heptathlete herself, and her very first Olympics which was I think when she was like 30 years old or something like that. She no-heighted in the high jump.
Oh
no.
Same thing, same exact thing. And crazy, like so crazy. And so she was the one talking to me in the clip, and she was also looking at me and just like, because she told me, she's like, of all the events that I couldn't have imagined that would have happened to you. You're so comfortable in the high jump.
Well, didn't you PR too? Well, like not like in the event, but didn't you like PR right before that? And
I mean, it was a decent race. It wasn't a PR. So I ran a 13:17, which is a good race. It's good, but my PR is 12:95. So
gotcha.
No, I didn't PR, but yeah.
Or maybe it was something in the past that you'd done, or like the Olympic trials. Like you placed second, right, in the Olympic trials.
Yeah,
crushed it.
Yeah, had a great Olympic trials, but didn't even have the best Olympic trials. I think I had 3 personal bests, which is always super great. But there were a couple of events that we were kind of like, ooh, which is like exciting, right? Because that means there's a lot of points left on the table. So we were looking for like way more for the Olympics. We were like, we can do this. We're ready, kind of a thing. And that's what makes it so, because you're like, we're ready. I felt so peaceful. And then it felt like I choked. But I also think that, you know, looking back on it, hindsight, I've decided to choose that my story needed to reach people. And that was the story that needed to be told, because sometimes it's bigger than me. And it wasn't about like my vanity of look at my medal, which would have been nice. I wish I would have. But sometimes it's the story of resilience, and sometimes it's a story of putting your best foot forward. And yeah, do you know who got me through it? Is Taylor Swift. Because that's did you guys see the video that I did? Yeah,
the video with the song behind it.
You believe, while I was warming up, I was listening to that song. Like, this is, and I remember being like, this is the song that we're going to tell this story with, because like, this is literally the song that got me through it. Like, it was the only thing that made me stop crying. Yeah, truly. So Taylor, thank you.
She watches our podcast.
Yeah, I think she told me. I think she told me that.
She definitely tunes in for sure.
I can imagine it would. I can only imagine how difficult it would be in a world where like your success seems to be measured literally with a medal. But it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like your definition of success kind of changed throughout this process. Thank you to Athena Club for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. Literally, as I'm saying that, I am dying for my Athena Club razor because
what?
My hair comes in coarse and I'm wearing pants, so it's rubbing wrong. And I'm really excited because tonight is bath night, which also means I get to use my favorite products, including Athena Club's products. Their razors have 5 blades, so there's no more ingrown hairs because it's such a clean shave, doesn't irritate your skin, it doesn't give you a rash or anything. They're dermatologist approved. And they're made for sensitive skin, which is great for someone like me. Like, I have coarse hair, but I have sensitive skin.
The nice
kids
thing,
inherited that too.
I love Athena Club razors because they keep my wife from going over to my side of the bathroom and stealing my razor to shave her legs. Definitely.
Which is, okay, valid though, because a lot of female razors are like weenie razors. When I'm like, my hair is not... It's strong, it's coarse. So I like the men's razors, but that's why Athena Club's great, because it's designed for women, but has the power of a man's razor with the 5 blades. What's also cool is that the blades are surrounded by super moisturizing water activated serum. So once your razor gets wet, it releases this serum that has avocado oil and hyaluronic acid, so it hydrates as you shave. That is literally genius. And it has built-in skin guards too to help prevent razor burn and reduce irritation. For me, it's nice because it helps me not to nick myself, which I still do as a 25-year-old woman. I just get in a hurry, you guys, but I love that Athena Club's razors are looking out for me, trying to protect me and my skin. And it's actually voted the best razor for sensitive skin by Vogue. So, wow. Dermatologist approved. It's incredible. You got to try them out. I also love their shaving cream. It's the best. It smells amazing. Ready to upgrade your shaving experience? Switch to the best razor on the market and show your skin you care with Athena Club. Head over to athenaclub.com to try their already affordable razor kit for 30% off with code UNPLANNED at checkout. You can also find Athena Club razors at your local Target store. Trust me, you won't look back. Happy shaving.
I remember somebody said something about like, I'm in the omelet game, not like, and like, I can't remember who said it, but like I heard somebody say once, like, you have to be relevant in order for me to talk about you because I'm in the omelet game. Like, I make things, I eat omelets once they're cooked. I'm not like in the egg cracking game or something like that. And that is kind of like how sports are. Like, if you're relevant, people want to talk to you. And if you're not winning, like, you go ghost. And so I think because that's the reality and you don't know if you're going to be relevant or not, you have to show up as the best version of yourself throughout it, because the internal value is what's going to keep you going, because the external value it's a light switch. It's either there or it's not there, and you can't control it. And so the best thing that you can do is just show up as your best self in other ways. If you focus on the external value, you're in trouble because it's so fleeting. And you guys probably do that same thing. Like, you have to find a way that, like, if something doesn't go viral or something doesn't do well or it's not its best thing, it's like you guys still have to figure out how to find value. You can't put value on that, even though you want it. It's so easy to get there.
And with sports that are like in the Olympics, it seems like it's in so many categories. It's such a small difference that makes like a small difference in like the height of your jump, like a tiny little bit, like clearing that whatever like height that was, could have made such a like it's almost like the comparison doesn't even quite add up.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah,
it could have changed the whole thing.
That's wild. The craziest thing to me too, because all the athletes are so talented. Like,
so talented.
You're with the best in the world. It's like people
so
are out here speaking different languages. You probably are like, I don't even know what this dude's saying or this chick's saying next to me. But So yeah, like all your scores are coming in so close, like in the grand scheme of things, right? Yeah. It's not like when you're running track in middle school and one kid, you know, smokes everybody else by like a minute. It doesn't work that way in the Olympics. Like everyone's coming in within like a millisecond of each other.
And that's why we take everything so seriously, because we're trying to go for that 1%. How can I get 1% better? Because 1% could mean you going here or here.
That's ridiculous.
You know? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Obviously, yeah, you're competing at the Olympics. Not everyone speaks English. So did you have any like fun ways of communicating with people that like you both didn't speak the same language, but you could still like maybe be friends and like find other ways to communicate? I don't know.
So I'm really good friends with like all the heptathletes. And so like, I think like that's the thing is like, I think a lot of, because like English is such a universal language, a lot of people do speak English, which is nice. I wish I spoke more languages so badly. Oh, that would been what a cool party trick that would be. It'd be so amazing. But I think like when there is a language barrier, I think that's why athletes do the pins. And we trade pins with each other, because it's such an easy way to be able to like connect with each other and be like, oh, pins, like let's switch, and then yay, and you know what I mean, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that's why they started doing pins in the first place. It's just such a good icebreaker to be able to like connect through culture.
Were there any athletes from a certain country that you really connected with?
I mean, all of the heps, like KJT, she's a heptathlete, and actually I used to idolize her. She's been like on top forever, and she's just like, I love her so much. But the first time that I ever met her was in 2019, and I was brand new on like the world stage scene. That was the first year I made world championships, and there's a big meet in Austria for heptathletes. It's like crazy. Like heptathletes are like famous there, and nobody knows about it. It's really cool, but like the stadium is like full, and it's crazy. It's really, really cool. So it was my first time being able to go there, and I see her, and I've loved her forever. So I was like, I'm gonna go be like super cash. You know when you like want to be like really cash, and super cool, calm, collected. Fortunately, that's not my strong suit naturally, but I was like, I got this theater kid, put it on, and I go up to her. And I sit down, and she sees me, and she like gives me like, you know, like, oh, this girl's coming up to talk to me. And I go, I love you. Just like that. So intimate. Look her in her eyes. And she was like, oh. And it was so embarrassing. And I was like, how? I literally looked up to her, and what I was going to say was, oh my gosh, like, my name's Chari. I'm a big fan. Like, you're amazing. Like, I'm so excited to compete with you. And I went up to her, and I just was like, I love you. Like, first thing I ever said to her. But the thing that's so crazy is like over that time, like I've always like joked about it, and I'm like, yeah, like, oh, we're in love. Like I always like say that like to her, like all of that kind of stuff. But it translated into like such a fun, like every time we see each other, we're so excited to see each other. And she's like a wonderful friend. She's a wonderful person and amazing competitor. She ended up taking silver at the Olympics. She's incredible. But so yeah, I just, every time I get, actually it's funny because we have this like pink top that's like a USA top, and she was just like, oh, Chari, like I love that top, can we switch jerseys? And I started taking off my shirt in the middle of the street to be like, yeah. She's like, not right now. Like, no, not right now. I was like, you could literally have every single thing I'm wearing. What do you need? What do you need? It's yours. But then I kept being like, hey, like I have your top, and I never gave it to her. So I need to ship it to her still. So it's on its way.
It's on its way.
Now that the Olympics are over, what does it look like? Yeah, like what does your life look like? Are you eating chocolate muffins now? Do you get to, do things differently because you're not as, focused on training?
Yeah, the fun part about like off season as an athlete is like that's your time to be able to just like I can do other sports now just for fun, and like I can do whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. I can travel more. I can like go hang out with my family and like be like, wow, we get to see each other. So it's really fun. I mean, this is just kind of like our time.
Is there a certain sport that you like to play just for fun?
So I used to think that I originally wanted to be an Olympian in volleyball, but then I stopped growing. One of my brothers is 6'5", and
Holy
one
cow.
of my sisters is 6'1", and I am 5'6". And I was like, how dare you? How dare you both? My goodness.
I stopped growing.
Yeah. I'm like, what? this isn't fair.
I'm so
I had to run. I was like, I have to run now because I can't be a volleyball player. Speaking of volleyball players, that was a group of people that they stand out. You knew instantly somebody was a volleyball player because there's a 6'8" volleyball player, female volleyball player.
Wow.
They just stand out so much. It's crazy. Like they're long and they're powerful and they're so cool.
That's
so
amazing.
I was never gonna be a volleyball player.
And what's your go-to dessert now that you don't have to be as strict with your diet?
Probably ice cream for sure. Yeah.
Were you not eating any ice cream at all before?
Mm-mm.
None. Any dessert at all?
No.
Like literally, you wouldn't even.
No soda, bread, pasta for a year.
What about like a diet soda? Would you do a diet soda?
No.
What? Mm-mm. What about like a Poppy? You know, they only have like 2 grams of sugar. Would you drink one of those? I think it has like.
I would do like a bubbly.
Okay, well that's not sweet though. That's just like a sparkling.
it's just but the thing is like you drink enough of them and you're kind of like, oh, this tastes like 7-Up. It's the same.
Okay, like my protein powder is really sweet. I do vanilla post-workout like protein shakes, and it has I think sucralose in it. Like would you eat something like that?
So I have like a carb drink that I drink that's like a chocolate flavored, but it also like it's definitely like a health shake. Like you can taste it and you're like, oh, this kind of tastes like it's thick, you know what I mean? But I like it, like, because it is a little still chocolatey, but it's like it's also, you look at it, it's insane for you. It's so good for you. So it's like, yeah, it works. Yeah,
that's hardcore. That's right.
Yeah, but I think the thing about it is like for me is when something's not an option, then it's easy to choose.
Yeah.
When it's not even on the table, that's what makes it. That if it's never in your pantry, it's never an option for you. Like you never have to have willpower because it's never an option. So now when it is an option, fail. If I had it in my house, even if I was like, I'm training for the Olympics and there was a thing of chocolate chips in they would be gone, completely gone.
That's how I am. That's why my kryptonite is when Abby makes chocolate chip cookies. They're gone within a day.
Yeah.
And it's because I ate every single one of them.
Yeah. That's the vibe I'm on for sure. Like if it's in my house, and that's the thing is like, I also can't just like have one. Like that's not fun. I need 16.
Also, you're married. You got married a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
How is that like balancing marriage and being so committed to this sport?
Yeah, so the thing that's super cool about CJ is we met in college and he was a track athlete. So he's been with me my whole professional career and like most of my track career in general. And so we've been together for 14 years and he's been here throughout all of it. And the great thing is having somebody who gets it. Because I think it'd be really hard to have all of that sacrifice and you didn't have somebody who knew. So like not only does he know like what it takes because he did it himself, but he also gets the sport. So like he knows what I need to go in every single event. He knows, like, I remember he was telling me a story about, he was talking to my family and his family during the Olympic trials, for the 1500. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness we're doing the 1500 for the 800, which is the last race. And I had to stay within a certain amount of time for the other girls in order to go to the Olympics. So he was telling them she needs to hit this split. She needs to run this fast. She needs to stay this far. And he knew everything. And that's kind of just like the way it's been. He's as invested in this as I am. And so the balance is, I think the balance is, it's one of those things, it's easy because he's integrated in it with me. Like this is a team effort. Like in 2021, I didn't think I was going to keep going when I didn't make the team. And what CJ and I do every year is we have our off season and then we get a little family meeting together and we decide together on if we're going to continue to go. And when we decide that we're continuing, we go all in. And so, I mean, he's as much a part of this entire operation as I am. So it's the balancing hasn't been hard because we're both in it together for sure.
I saw people did an article about your wedding in 2020. Was that decision kind of like, okay, I guess the Olympics are canceled, so let's get married? Like
100%. But you guys have to also know that we had been engaged for 3 years at that time.
Wow.
Because we were planning on getting married the year after the Olympics so that we would focus. And we were going to, in 2020, that was going to be my last year, go to the Olympics, end on the Olympics, and then we would get married the next year. And so that was kind of, we were like, yeah, let's do it. It'll be like a longer engagement, but it'll be worth it. And like I said, we make all these decisions together. And so when it got postponed, we were like, do we want to wait 2 more years to get married?
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't have anything else to do. So we planned a wedding in 3 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we also wanted to keep it small. And so we were like, this is a perfect opportunity to be like, oh, dang, COVID. Because I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and there's 4 kids in his family. So just our immediate family was going to be big. So we were like, oh, this is a great opportunity to be able to keep it small, intimate, and then just like get it done. So it was great.
Being a female Olympian, like how has that affected like your family planning? Like,
that's a really good question.
I'm curious.
Yeah, the thing is that's another thing that we talk about all the time is, all right, where are we in terms of like having kids, in terms of like our timeline and where we want to be? Where do we want to live? Where do we want to be? Do we want to be closer to, do we need to be closer to family? Like we right now we're renting in San Diego. We don't want to be renting, right? And so like having all of those conversations, I mean, was like really, really big for us too. But it does like, it postpones it a lot. And a lot of people have asked me, you know, like, do we want to go, are you going to go until 2028? And I'm like, I'll be 37. And the thing about it is like, it's not, there's a lot of moms who crush it at the Olympics, but usually what they're doing is having their babies earlier, so they're bouncing back and then they have a longer period of time to like get back into it. But I mean, having a baby, you know, at 30, let's say 34, and then being like, let me see if I can get back into it in a heptathlon at that age, I think could be like hard. And so now, I mean, you know, it's a tougher decision, and so we're always like, okay, do we want kids? And if we do, we probably need to start making these decisions. So when did you guys, how old were you when you had your first kid?
So young.
We were crazy. We had our first when we were 23. Yeah. Abby was 23. But what's crazy is, so my grandma had my mom when I think she was 20 or 21. And then she also had my uncle when she was 40. So, hey, you got time. You know, you like,
she was 42.
She was, are you sure she was 42?
I think she was 42.
I thought she was just 40.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'll call your grandma Sharon.
I mean, I'm from Idaho, went to school in Utah, so I get it. Like, all of my friends have like teenagers.
Oh my goodness.
Like, truly, like they all had their kids when they were 20, 21. So it's like, I get it. Like, it's very normal in like where like I went to school and everything. So for me, it's like, oh, that's, you waited. You know what I mean? So yeah, truly, I know. Yeah. It's a crazy, it's like, oh no, like that's perfect. Like that's like the perfect time. The thing that's nice is like, you give up one for the other. So like you guys decided to be parents in your 20s, but then you're going to have, when you're older, you're going to have your freedom, you know? And like, for me, it's going to be the opposite. Like I had my 20s, but like now, like when we have kids, we're going to be like 50 and we're going to still have kids in the house. So it's like you give, like, you know what I mean? I think being young parents is kind of a vibe.
So kids are something you want down the line.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's a decision that we'll make together, but I think that we go back and forth. We're ping-ponging it all the time, you know? Especially I think on social media, like there's a lot of people who are like, don't have kids. don't do it. And I'm always like, don't do it. Okay.
It's so hard because it's like your career, like being the female, like, and your career is your sport, and it's like you really have to kind of choose with like your sport being at that level.
Yeah. Pros and cons, kids.
Oh my gosh.
They're the best thing in the world.
It's been incredibly rewarding.
I always say this, I didn't have any other ambition in my life. So
that was your thing.
No, I'm just serious. Like I was like, well, I guess we're done here.
It is really cool to have like a little mini version of yourself, and then you just get to love on them, and you just, I don't know. Like people describe having kids as your heart being outside of your body. It truly is like that.
Like really? I didn't have career ambitions though. Like
talk about anxiety with having kids. Because I feel like that's something like me worrying about them all the time. That's something that I'm like, I stress about.
It's kind of one of those things where when you have your first, you're freaking out about everything. But have you heard those jokes about parents that have like 7 kids?
And if
you hear a loud noise, like they don't even blink an eye because they're just like so used to everything.
Someone fell. Hope it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, literally, that was Augie fell off the couch yesterday. I was like, oh, it sounds like a bowling ball. It's like it's just Augie's head.
It truly is that way though. Like he
didn't cry.
We were paranoid. Like I would like panic in the middle of the night and like get up to make sure like Griffin was like still breathing at night, just because you're like, what if he just like decided to stop breathing or something in the middle of the night?
Sure.
But it's like he knows how to breathe. He's fine. But you just have all those worries, especially driving home from the hospital when you first have your baby. So that happens. But yeah, you start to chill out, you start to realize like, okay,
I don't know. It's also kind of just like your natural, like if you're more naturally anxious person, then it's probably going to translate into parenting to some extent. But I will say, when I feel like I've talked to a lot of other moms, and for me personally, like when I became a mom, a confidence came over me that like it's nothing, no one can crack that, I guess. Like it's like, I'm the parent. Did you get
anxious for like labor and stuff?
Not really.
No?
Well, I feel like everyone has their own coping mechanisms. For me, I was like, I want to go in completely dumb. Like I don't want to know about anything that can happen. Tell me anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know.
Did you go natural or did you get an epidural?
I got an epidural.
Do you have any issues post?
No.
With like back pain or anything like that?
No.
Oh, that's good.
Nothing. It was honestly, the epidural was freaking amazing. Yeah. I was induced, so like I was having like really strong contractions back to back for like, I waited like 7 hours before I got the epidural. How long did I go? I went overnight.
Yeah.
I went like 16 hours
with that. You went a long time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. You kind of
was it like a decision at the time? You were like, all right.
I knew I was going to get one the whole time. Like, I wasn't like trying.
You were just like waiting until the moment.
Yeah, so I'm going to wait till it hurts really bad. And then it did. So
the thing is I can't even try to like tap into like an empathetic thought process of how bad it would hurt. Because I know it wouldn't even do it justice.
I mean, yes, but also like I don't even remember. Like
really? I mean, that's nice.
I have no frame of reference for what that was like.
My issue is like the 800 pain. Like I remember.
So maybe it was worse. Maybe it was worse.
Well, I actually have a friend who she is crazy because she was just like, listen, you're never going to be anxious again when you retire because when I had my baby, it didn't even hurt. And I was like, okay. And she's a MD. And she's like, when I took my boards, she's like, everybody was just nervous. She's like, I was like, I'm fine. I don't have to do an 800. Like at the end of a heptathlon, I don't have it. And I was like, I feel like that makes me feel really good. Yeah. But I feel like I don't want to know that because there's going to be, the moment where you're like, oh yeah, so I'm not going to worry. And then I'm like freaking out the whole time. And I'm like, oh no, it was me. Honestly, she just might be like another level.
No, you are another level. She might be just
like, she was pretty incredible. So
once you've done that level, like I feel like you're like, oh,
I feel like you could do anything.
I'm a textbook overthinker though.
If you're an Olympic athlete, like there's nothing you can't do, okay? Like
seriously.
That's insane.
Except you will not be getting 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah, that's actually the 10 hours of sleep thing. You'll have to throw that out the window.
I've got to start like training myself like for like, okay, waking up 7 hours. Okay, then waking up for 6 hours.
He wakes you up every 2 hours.
Yeah, just like set my alarm and make it like a baby cry. And be like, oh okay.
My gosh.
Or you could just have CJ wake up with the baby to do the feedings in the night. That's what I did. Now Abby still had to wake up to pump, but I know people that like just slept through, and I tried to get Abby to do that, but she was like, I don't want my milk supply to go down.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah. No, that makes sense. The thing is I have heard people who were like, hey, my husband's a night owl and I'm a morning person. Yeah. So like I go to sleep and then he stays up and then I mean, that's a really good idea.
You guys are already a team. You can make it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's nice. Like, so he's my like only like real boyfriend and I'm his only like real girlfriend. That's how you guys were too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is one of those things where I feel like we're like a tree that like grew together.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so even like, there's just so many things people are always like, oh yeah, this and that. And we're just like, we just like don't have those issues because we're seared together.
You became adults together.
Yeah, exactly. We're just seared together and like we've been together, I think not quite more than we haven't been together with like our lives. It's not quite there yet, but it's like
that's so crazy.
We've just like we've just been together for like a long time, and so
we're just a unit at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice to have like a partner, and I feel like and you guys probably feel the exact same way.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we're just like. I'm like, I know every thought he's thinking at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chari, I feel so inspired by you. I mean, hearing about all your accomplishments just blow my mind. I cannot believe that you've been able to do everything that you've been able to do in your life. And so I'm going to go probably start trying to run now or something. But where can people like connect with you on social media? Where can people find you to get to know you more?
All the social medias like Instagram, TikTok, if you're if you're like a Facebooker.
This is so fun. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. Thank you for coming out.
It was really fun. It was
when
really
you
fun.
guys move to Arizona, we'll definitely have to hang.
Yeah, there you go. This is why. Oh yeah, it's not my brother. We won't move there for him. We'll move here for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Oh my goodness. And in 3, 2, 1.
Peace out, dudes.